Hello, everyone. I'm Eric D'Souza, and joining me today is Delee Fromm, whose novel, The Strength to Rise, has been nominated by Crime Writers of Canada for the award of Best Unpublished Manuscript, sponsored by ECW Press. Welcome, Delee. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for doing this, Eric.
Um, Part of being the category that you're in, Best Unpublished Work, means when I was doing my research on you, I couldn't find much about your book, The Strength to Rise, but I did discover that you've written two nonfiction books. What inspired you to turn to fiction writing?
Ever since my 20s, I've wanted to write a mystery novel. So I decided at the beginning of 2020, that fateful year, to enroll in a novel writing course. It was in person, which was great. And so I went, and then after that, we had to, be in lockdown in March. So what inspired me basically was COVID. I had a lot of extra time during the lockdowns. So, I had the great training from Melody Campbell, who is just a fabulous mentor, has been all the way through. And so she was the one who sort of has propelled this, but also it was COVID that inspired me. I had the extra time. So that turned out to be, very, very good.
Perfect. Well, I guess then the next question is tell us about the novel you wrote, The Strength to Rise.
Well, it's a traditional mystery, and it's a female sleuth called Avery Winton. She's a forensic psychologist, and her niece comes to stay with her, Kate. And her niece starts acting really weirdly, and that's the first mystery, like what's happening with Kate. And then Kate becomes the main suspect in the murder of a controversial right-wing psychology professor who is a colleague of Avery. And so Avery has to step in. She has to help her niece, firstly, to figure out what's going on with her, and secondly, to solve the murder mystery. And in doing so, she reveals shocking truths about what's happened to Kate, and also about her affluent Oakville neighborhood, and also about the university where she works. I'm not going to give you any more clues or information about it because I don't want any spoiler alerts going out. But yeah, it's fast paced, and I think people are really going to like it.
Yeah, it seemed to have the right amount of hooks there that get us interested. Also, from your website, I did learn that you have a background in both law and psychology, so I can tell that you were able to bring your early experiences as a psychologist into this book.
Absolutely. Actually, in my 20s, I was a neuropsychologist at a large psychiatric hospital and doing a lot of research. So research was on psychiatric patients as well as psychopaths. So I was at the
Hmm.
maximum security penitentiary, yeah, doing on incarcerated criminals. And so I bring that into the novel, firsthand experience. And also in talking to Robert Hare, who's the guru of psychopathy, he's Canadian. He said that he always wished he had studied successful psychopaths. Like he studied incarcerated ones like I did, but the
Mhm.
successful ones, the ones that live and work amongst us. And my book is focused on them, the ones that, society sees as successful, but really wreak havoc in terms of their families and societies and even government. Right. So that's the focus. Now, the legal part of it comes in because Avery's ex-husband is a lawyer, works at a law firm, and her friend who helps her solve these mysteries is a law professor. She's also non-binary. So that brings in that aspect in terms of gender. I wanted to have a character so that readers could become familiar with, what that means and what the pronouns are about and all of that various aspects of it.
Excellent. You seem very qualified to write this book. I'm quite interested myself now. I hope it gets published and I get to read it. One thing I also noted is I believe you're from Oakville. I have friends in Oakville. Doesn't typically strike me as the place to set a dark story in. So the setting of both your stories, of your short story and your novel, are set in Oakville. What made you decide on that setting?
Well, again, I don't want to give out way too much, but the crime involved is going to be shocking for this type of community, but it happens. It happens here. And so that was part of it, to disabuse people that if you live in a city that's beautiful and affluent, that you don't get touched by crime. that it doesn't happen. So that's part of it. It's just such a beautiful place. I mean, it's a beautiful city. The downtown is gorgeous and the lake is beautiful. And even though there's a lot of Oakville writers who write mysteries, nobody's ever set a mystery in Oakville. So I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to highlight the city. And as I move through the series, write more in this series, which I hope to do, I'm going to start reaching out to the GTA because I think there's also other hidden gems here that really haven't been explored in mysteries. So that's my goal. That's my goal.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I read a lot of Canadian fiction, crime fiction. Don't think I've ever read one in Oakville before. You might be the first. I also know that you're a consultant. So does your consulting work influence your writing?
It really has, like in so many ways, it's influenced what I write. I focus on implicit bias, and so that includes gender bias, age bias, race bias. Those are the larger ones. We all are biased because of what we learn in childhood, and it's invisible to us. It's like the air we breathe, these incorrect beliefs that we have from childhood, and then that influences how we behave and treat other people. And so throughout this first book, it's all about gender bias. I hope to get into age bias in the next one. But gender bias is so important in terms of, women getting ahead, women's advancement. That's a large part of my consulting as well. And so I wanted to make people aware of it. I weave it through. It's not heavy-handed. It's not an information dump at all about gender bias, but I just wanted to make people aware where they might not be aware. So what society teaches young women makes them even more of a soft target for predators. And so I just wanted to allow readers to get that information in, an easy way. So that's what I've done. And it definitely informs, the entire book. I throw some things in the near the end about negotiation, because that's really a large area of my expertise as well. Gender differences in negotiation styles and also approaches. And so I'm hoping that by, through sort of fiction reading, which tends to be lighter, that the reader will be informed about these issues and what's happening that they may not be informed about now. So that was my main goal, and definitely my day job influences what I'm writing in terms of fiction.
Yeah, I think our day jobs definitely influence our writing, which makes sense. I have a feeling you're going to soon be negotiating with many publishers, deciding which one to choose from. So good luck to you, and good luck also for May 26th. I think even just being nominated for this category is great because a lot of people submit to it. Being shortlisted for this category is a great feather in your hat already.
Yeah, thanks, Erica. I feel like I've already won. Seriously, if this is as far as I go, I hope I win. But if this is as far as I go, this is a great honor in and of itself. So I'm really pleased with it.
Great. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you everyone for watching today.
Thanks, Eric.